This is Trump Tower 3, 43 stories, 271 units, $2 billion in luxury real estate sold on the strength of 5 letters. Donald Trump put his name on the top of it, collected his fee, and walked. By the time the ground started moving 3 inches past what the engineers predicted, his liability had already expired. Who decided that sand was a safe foundation for a 43-story tower, and when did they first find out it wasn't? If the building has already sunk past its own engineering limit, who is legally required to tell the people sleeping on the 30th floor? When the brand that sold you permanence stops being legally responsible, what exactly did you buy? And if the ground is still moving right now, who is watching it?
Now, Gil Dezer and I have worked very hard on changing the skyline of Sunny Isles and building Trump Grande.
To understand what happened to Trump Tower 3, you first have to understand where it stands. Sunny Isles Beach is not a city that grew organically. For most of the 20th century, it was a narrow strip of low motels on a barrier island off the Florida mainland. Roughly 2 miles long, less than half a mile wide, sitting between the Atlantic Ocean and the Intracoastal Waterway. Then the developers arrived. Starting in the early 2000s, a construction boom turned that strip into the densest wall of super-tall luxury condos in Florida. 6 of those towers carry the same name across their parapets: Trump Palace, Trump Royale, Trump International Beach Resort, Trump Towers 1, 2, and 3. Here is the first thing most buyers never understood. Donald Trump did not build any of them. Between 2001 and 2008, Michael and Gil Dezer, a Miami father and son development team, along with the related group, one of the largest real estate developers in the southeastern United States, signed a licensing agreement with the Trump Organization through a legal entity called Trump Marks Sunny Isles. They hired Seeger Suarez Architects, a Miami firm, to design the towers. Trump made 2 contractually required marketing appearances, collected a licensing fee, and walked. Trump Tower 3 at 15,811 Collins Avenue was completed in 2010. The buyers were hedge fund principals, international investors, and South American business families. They were not buying a condominium. They were buying a promise: this address will hold its value. This address will hold, period. That was the plan. Here is what actually happened. Sunny Isles Beach is built on sand, the kind of sand the ocean stacked up over centuries into a thin barrier island sitting just a few feet above sea level. Drill down beneath any tower on this strip, and you pass through loose sand layers before hitting porous limestone. Builders drive large concrete piles into that limestone. That part works. The problem is everything above it. The loose sand layers are compressible. They shift under sustained load, and groundwater moves through them with the tides twice a day. Engineers call what happens next creep. Think of a heavy book sitting on a tray of sand. Every time someone knocks the table, the book settles a fraction deeper. Nobody notices it move. On rock, the settling stops. On sand, it never fully does. In December 2024, a research team at the University of Miami Rosenstiel School of Marine Atmospheric and Earth Science pulled 222 satellite radar images taken between 2016 and 2023 and measured this coastline down to the millimeter. They found 35 buildings moving. In parts of Sunny Isles, nearly 70% of coastal high-rises were affected. Trump Tower 3 was on the list, recording roughly 1.5 inches of satellite-measured movement in that 7-year window alone. Dr. Volker Mehlung, a geophysics professor at the University of Miami who led the study, said,
"Half a centimeter, but of course over a long time it's going to be significant."
The research team had not set out to study Trump Tower 3. They found it anyway. Then the reports started coming in. The reports no one wanted to answer for. 4 geotechnical companies worked on most of the high-rises built along the Sunny Isles oceanfront: URSNV, 5 Langen, and Kadirabek. Geotechnical firms are the specialists hired to study the soil conditions model, how much a building will settle, and certify that the foundation design is adequate. Their findings were filed with the city of Sunny Isles Beach as public record. More than 2,000 pages of engineering filings. Inside was the number that should stop a buyer cold. Measured from construction through to the date of investigation, Trump Tower 3 had settled 9 inches into the ground. Its own engineers had predicted 6, 3 full inches past the limit its designers signed off on. Uniform settlement, the whole building going straight down at the same rate, is something engineers plan for. Differential settlement is different. That is when one section of the foundation moves faster than another. That internal stress travels through the building looking for the weakest connection to break first. Whether that is happening under Trump Tower 3, no one can say, because no one is required to measure it. The engineers documented the miscalculations in their own filings with the city. As one firm wrote a decade into the building boom, we note that this area of Sunny Isles has had several tower structures settle significantly more than predicted. The Miami Herald contacted all 4 geotechnical firms for comment. None replied. Larissa Svechin, the mayor of Sunny Isles Beach, told the Miami Herald she was 100% confident that everything is safe. The firms that wrote the reports chose a different response. Then it gets worse. When the legal door closed, Florida has a rule most condo buyers have never heard of. Once a building passes a certain number of years from its certificate of occupancy, the legal window to file construction defect claims against the developer and engineers closes permanently. When Trump Tower 3 received its certificate of occupancy in 2010, Florida law gave buyers 10 years to file construction defect claims. By the time the satellite data became public, every legal avenue for the people inside Trump Tower 3 had already closed. No claim against Deezer Development, the related group, or any of the geotechnical firms can be filed today. Trump marks Sunny Isles. The licensing entity through which Trump collected his fee carries no ongoing legal obligation to the building or the people inside it. Inside the building, consequences accumulate quietly. Every unit above the 20th floor has a door that no longer closes flush with its frame. The pipe connections inside the walls now carry stress loads beyond their design tolerance, shifting a fraction of a degree off plumb each season. The window seals that passed inspection in 2010 now emit hairline moisture patched and repatched by unit owners who cannot fix it permanently because the frame itself has moved. The Homeowners Association has been receiving structural monitoring reports. Those reports are not posted in the lobby. Special assessment conversations are happening in board meetings that are not public record. Residents are asking questions they are not getting straight answers to. A special assessment for structural remediation at a building of this size would be measured in tens of thousands per unit, with no ceiling written into Florida law. Florida does not require anyone to monitor settlement after a tower is finished. No mandatory measurement, no required disclosure to the people writing those monthly checks. The residents bought permanence. What they own now is the bill, and here is the part nobody wants to answer. The property value mathematics of structural disclosure is not theoretical. In New York, 432 Park Avenue, a 96-story residential tower on Billionaires Row in Midtown Manhattan, developed by CIM Group and Harry Mucklow, became public knowledge for structural complaints in 2021. Creaking sounds, flooding in elevator shafts, facade cracks. An August 2025 analysis by The Real Deal. A real estate trade publication found that 10 of the 16 owners who resold their units after those issues went public took a loss. The building did not fall. The story got out. That was enough. Apply that to a unit purchased at Trump Tower 3 for $3 to $6 million. The moment a buyer's attorney pulls the Miami Herald investigation and reads 2,000 pages of reports that 4 engineering firms declined to discuss with the press, the conversation changes. Not because the building fell, because the story got out. Nobody who licensed the name lost $1 when the ground moved. 5 letters, 3 inches past the limit, 0 liability when the ground moved. And it is already happening somewhere else on the same island. 3 blocks north on the same strip of sand stands the Ritz-Carlton Residence's Sunny Isles Beach, a 52-story luxury tower developed by Fortune International Group and Chateau Group, 2 South Florida real estate developers with no connection to Deezer or the related group. The same University of Miami study that flagged Trump Tower 3 also flagged the Ritz-Carlton Residences. Between 2016 and 2023, it recorded nearly 2 inches of movement in the same satellite measurement period, per the peer-reviewed study published in Earth and Space Science. Different brand, different developer, same ground. You just don't know which building on that skyline carries the next number the engineers haven't released yet. There are 2 honest positions on Trump Tower 3. The first, Florida operates one of the strictest building codes in the country. Senate Bill 4D passed by the Florida legislature in 2022 following the collapse of Champlain Towers South, a 12-story residential building in Surfside, Florida that fell in June 2021 and killed 98 people, requires mandatory structural integrity reserve studies and milestone inspections for every coastal residential tower. The system is working as designed. The second, that framework was built to catch visible concrete failure, spalling, exposed rebar, waterproofing collapse. It was not built to catch differential foundation settlement in a tower whose legal liability window has already closed. The monitoring data exists. The geotechnical reports exist. The requirement to tell residents what those reports show does not. 2 positions, both supported by facts on the public record. Nobody who made this decision is being asked to justify it. The project you just watched took years to fail publicly. The next one on this channel took longer and cost more. Subscribe, because by the time it makes the news, it's already too late. Comments are open. Name your city.